Na kaware tawa kino kawe. Tesuke owinge iweri omu. Hi, I'm Kaye Jagles. I'm originally from Tesuque Pueblo, and I'm also Shoshone and Paiute. And I recently started working for Santa Fe County as a Constituent Services Liaison for the County Manager's Office. Initially, when you asked if I would dress traditionally, I was thinking about it, and the reason I chose to wear what I'm wearing today is because I thought about my great-grandma, whose name is Epimenia Vihel. And she's the closest connection that I have to the past generations. And she lived until the month that I was born. And this was her everyday attire. Later on, I knew and learned that I was being carried by my mother while my great-grandmother was still alive. So I heard her voice. I heard her speak Tewa. And later on in life did I realize that her voice was lending itself to me in a way that I didn't really think or know as I was growing up. And I learned to have this connection to her, not just through the language, but she was a potter. And she made pottery, figurines, and I know it was through her that I have an ability to draw and make pottery. I'm the youngest of four. Brian is the oldest, then Jeanette, then Melinda, and me. Our dad is Shoshone Paiute, and that's where we get Jagles. So it's not a northern New Mexico name. And my mom's maiden name is Duran. So unfortunately, their marriage didn't last. And gratefully, my mom remained in Tesuque Pueblo. And she had to raise the four of us. But in doing so, we were able to spend a lot of time with our aunts and uncles, godparents, people who became parents to me, specifically Ko'o Becky and Matt Mali. Their last name is Vihel. And growing up, I was so close to them that I slept with them like a child would. And in elementary school, I changed my name to Kaye Vihel. And until my teacher called home and was like, did she change her name? And my mom's like, no, it's Jagles. But they had a profound impact because my mom was fluent in Tewa, still is, but she had a difficult time learning English. So she chose to speak English to us in the home. But even though it helped us academically, in the other homes, they were very adamant that we all spoke or listened to Tewa, and they spoke to us in Tewa. So thanks to Ko'o Becky and Matt Mali, all their children, thanks to Nana Sophie and Tata Jimmy, who are my godparents, they all spoke to me. Thanks to Ko'o Awa, who's Ko'o Percy, my grandpa's sister, and my Tete Lupi, Grandpa Lupi. He only had a second grade education, but he spoke 3 languages. He spoke English, Tewa, and Spanish, and had friends from everywhere. And they really valued education. And Ko'o Percy became a Head Start teacher, who my mom taught with. So they were both Head Start teachers. And Ko'o Percy had made an observation about me when I was in school, and I still have this index card that says if people will talk to Laura in Tewa, she'll learn, she'll pick it up. And then the next year, she had these, I guess, pictures she was showing the kids. She showed me a picture of a rabbit. And instead of saying boo, I said bi, which is the part of the name for carrot. So I was still at least contemplating Tewa and using it more than I was the previous year. And we basically grew up with a lot of the people, and one of the favorite sayings I really enjoyed hearing from these extended family members was Navi anyu ke'e, and that means my little girl. So every time I walked into their homes, that was what I was greeted with. I don't know about my sisters, but I certainly was. I spent plenty feast days with them. My responsibilities were refilling the salt and pepper shakers on the big dining table, preparing the silverware on the table for feast days, carrying cookies and pies and bread in and out of the house to the outdoor horno/ponte, and just all of those memories of being with these beautiful people whose lives just, evolved around each other, revolved around family, revolved around tradition and dance. Finally, when I was able to dance, it wasn't in the pueblo, it was outside of the pueblo. These same cousins, my godparents' daughters and my aunt and uncle's daughters and the sons, put together dance groups, and they would sing our songs, our buffalo dance songs, and they would dress us. The moccasins, the white high top moccasins I'm wearing today, I learned to put on myself, but back then, as a teenager, it was my cousins, my god sisters, who were putting on the moccasins for me and putting on my belt or putting my dress on a certain way. And that all just conveyed love and a care and a respect and a joy and a desire that they wanted to share. They wanted to share what they learned. They wanted to mimic the things that they knew and somebody else did for them. And even though it might not have been in our pueblo, we were still sharing our culture on the plaza in Santa Fe or different places that asked for these dances to be performed. And still hearing them now and again use Tewa words, even to describe what they're getting, a ba'a, to put a belt on, or weho uvi kwa'a, where's your jewelry, or your necklace, weho uvi oyaka, where are your earrings? So just all of those little things I was observing but absorbing throughout my childhood. Just constant learning of Tewa. And I honestly, if anybody asked me, what do you want to do when you're older? I would have never said, be a Tewa teacher. Teenagers had asked me, and I couldn't say no to them. And that's how I became a Tewa instructor. And just their desire to learn, I think, motivated me. And I had to go back to the memories because I wasn't using Tewa on a daily basis. I went back to the memories of being in the pueblo on those feast days with all the people, unfortunately, who passed away. When I became a Tewa teacher, I still didn't have a sense of confidence in what I was teaching or the level of Tewa. So I sought out teachers. And those teachers I learned from are my brother-in-law, Gary Mokino, who's a fluent Tewa speaker. My mom, even though she loses patience with me sometimes. Go'o Vicky, who's Go'o Percy's daughter. She's a Tewa instructor. And my best friend, who's from Kaudawohah, from Santa Clara, she used to teach me a lot of the Tewa words or translate a lot of the things I wanted to learn. And what I think is beautiful is the Tewa teachers in Kuudawohah, in Tisuki Pueblo, both come from the Vigil family and the Duran family. I think it runs in our blood that we have it, and we have. What's more important though is not any fluent teacher can teach, because it involves a lot of patience and kindness and love, because it's such a fragile thing. It's just a matter of families getting together and trying to teach one another more than we did before, because we we could lose it within a couple of generations. So I taught Tewa for Powaki Pueblo, or Posuege Awinge, and it was during George Rivera's tenure as governor, and his wife Felicia Rivera had hired me after I started teaching at a pilot project with the Indigenous Language Institute when I was teaching English at Santa Fe Prep. It came about kind of complicated, and then that's how I became a full-time Tewa teacher at different schools in Santa Fe where Powaki students were attending. And it was, first grade through 12th grade, a whole variety of students. And I know a lot of people would just say, no, I only teach middle school, I only teach high school, I only teach elementary. So middle school was my forte. So it took a lot of patience for me to be with the little ones, but I really enjoyed it because they were just so eager and happy. And to be the Tewa person in those private schools was really powerful for them, for me to have that presence and for us to have that connection, even if we were from different communities. I do miss that, miss seeing their faces and their joy and their laughter and how they play with language. What I love about my family is we're still continuing to pass on traditions. So my brother-in-law, Gary, who I spoke to you about, has 3 daughters, and we have 4 great-nephews. So he's often put them together in their own dance group, their own Buffalo dance group. They've danced at Santa Fe Prep and other places. The beauty of living in the Pueblo is everyone's connected, and in teaching the language or processing the language, thinking more about the numerous meanings of words. The 2 words that I really enjoy don't have a gender because they just name an older sibling and a younger sibling. So when I see my Matmali and Ko'obeki's children, they are older than me, so they call me younger sibling, and they say tu'u, and they're my pare, they're my older sibling. So we still, when we see each other, call each other that. Younger sibling, older sibling. And that's just all about community. With the power of language, learning the background of it and the meaning of it reinforces our relationships with each other. When I used to teach Tewa to the little kids and they tried to say words without using their body, I would tell them it lives in us. It's a spirit and you need to give it breath. And there are words that come from your gut that lose their meaning if they're not spoken, or pop, or a popping P, or or a K sound, or it loses its impact. And that's what will be lost, but what will be gained is hopefully the joy. I think about a lot of, and when I say fluency, I mean like members of my community who can have full conversations in Tewa. But then there's another fluency in the room, which is all the people who are listening, who can understand what they're saying, but maybe aren't a part of the conversation. That's a level of fluency. And I think the more that we explore the possibilities of preserving our languages or revitalizing our languages, we take a closer look at the various levels of fluency in our community rather than just thinking binaries. There's non-fluent and there's fluent, because there's so many people within that spectrum of I feel like I'm never going to be fully fluent in Tewa. A lot of the things that non-native people always ask is, how do you say good morning? How do you say, they want things directly translated. And most people involved in language know that's not ever going to happen. When we say good morning, wawa tamu. Wawa means life. Ta is day. Have life all day. And when you greet somebody that way, there's power and meaning and a relationship with the two of you or the three of you. One of the other sayings that could be misinterpreted, because tampo nowadays means to win, but before it really meant to gain. So un wawati tampo or wawati un tampo, the things that are carried in responsibilities of being a Pueblo person, and everybody has different roles, when in a way it becomes heavy or burdensome, that phrase, wawati un tampo, you're gonna gain life the more you give to the community